All right, short little, maybe an hour and a half tonight, and let's see if we get a few people in here. And we're hopefully the topic of the discussion tonight will be algae, but we'll see who we get and where the conversation goes. An hour and a half tonight. Let's see if we get a few people in here. Hopefully the topic of the discussion tonight will be algae. See who we get. Conversation goes. All right. Well, we got somebody watching, I think. Don't be shy. Introduce yourself. Could be somebody I know. You never know. Or the two viewers are me. That's usually pretty good. So the topic tonight is going to be algae, I think. We'll see how that goes. Get a link made up for the Hangout too as well, I guess. Being selfish, rolling myself a stogie so that we can really get our coffee and chat on at some point here. There we go. That's set up too. It's just me again. Get. I got the world's most annoying female cat, I swear to God. I think bedtime for her is 10 o'clock, and she'll annoy me until she gets there. Or till I get there. I think it's both. What do you want? You know what's odd? I wish I could have music played in the background while we waited for people to filter in, because at least then there'd be something going on versus me yakking my guts out. But alas, such is YouTube's rules. So Fish of Hex put out a pretty good deal video today, talking about backups and stuff during a power outage. Always a good idea. It's actually an excellent idea. I have 2 battery-operated pumps and some battery backup jump boxes that I can run my pumps with and heaters. So if you're listening, that's always a good idea. Oh, that's why I can't see anything. Hey, what's up, ADU? Yeah, there's Angelic. It's kind of funny. I got my own little loyal group of followers. That's kind of funny. I appreciate it. Trust me. I'm just saying that it's funny. I got about 10, 12 people I know I can usually count on seeing at some point. You know, I figure it this way: if I don't want to hear something I don't want to hear, then I might as well make my own sandbox so I hear what I want to hear. Yeah. I am going to be. Well, I might be here tomorrow night. I got to go prep for a family member to move in someplace, and it's going to be a royal pain in the rear end tomorrow. And then Monday, we got to do the. That's going to be a long day because that's going to be a 4-hour drive down, probably 3 to 4 hours to pack the truck, 4 hours to drive back to 5 hours, and then probably another 2 hours to unpack it. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I thought I'd show that. Did you see the clowns biting my ass the whole time? Isn't that great? Yeah. Thought that was entertaining. Yeah, whenever I hear somebody complaining about making content, I would look at them with that video in particular. That video took me 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Yeah, it was him first. It was the little all white guy, the Wyoming white, biting me first, and then she jumped in on it. She hurt. She actually was getting a good chunk of me here and there. She didn't break the skin like my Odin, my old Oscillaris, did before I sold him with my old frag tank. But I think he's already gone. We'll see. Get a few more people in here. Get to quibbling. Yeah, Odin was a beast. When I got him, he was a rescue from the local fish store here who was just sort of started on selling stuff. And he was so tiny. He was as big, maybe a little bigger than my thumbnail. And I got him home and I just, I did a big, long acclimation on him. I had turned the water over probably 4 or 5 times just to make sure it was safe and used prime. And I put him in my frag tank and he could swim in between the egg crates. That's how small he was. So that's like an inch by an inch, not even 3/4 of an inch. And in the end, he couldn't do that. But he got big enough, and he bit me one day, and he bit me between the on my hand where the skin between your thumb and your first finger, and he drew blood. That's how hard he hit me. Yeah. You don't think they have teeth, but some of them do. Yeah, it floored me. I mean, he didn't I wasn't gushing blood or nothing, but you could see the red, where it was bleeding, where he had torn the layer of skin out. Well, he's still alive. Last time I checked, he's still alive. I hope he is. The guy I sold him to's had some issues and up and downs with his tank, and Odin got so nasty that he had to put him in his in a timeout in the sump. And I never did ask again because I really don't want to know. I had a puffer fish named Smoots, and the only reason I sold him is I didn't want to keep my cube, and I didn't want to put him in the 120 because I knew I couldn't have inverts and snails and stuff, and you know blah blah blah. And I sold him to him, and 2 months later, winter hit last year, and his power went out for 5 days, and Smoots didn't make it, and it kind of broke my heart a little. He was a great fish. He was like having a dog in the tank. He was so, right there with you. Eat right out of my hand, no fear. Yeah, I've done a few. I've had to slow down. I don't work for Xerox anymore. I don't have the funds to go out and just drop $50 for a tank and whatnot. But I'll tell you, if I could keep 3 or 4 20s on hand, yeah, I'd probably still be doing it, knowing me. Well, it's like there's a few fish I have that I know I'm going to be heartbroken if something happens to them. I know I am. Yeah, probably why that powder brown came out for that fox face, because that fox face, he came with Smoots, and I lost Spock this summer to a jump because of my cat. He leapt at the tank, I'm guessing, scared Mr. Fox from the front of the tank, and the tang must have been up the top, and he jumped out. And I basically found him almost right away. There was still water, he was still wet, but I'm guessing the 6.5 feet down to the or 5'11", I guess, that the tank's at the top. He went down, boom, hit the hardwood floor. And I'm guessing it was probably a head first event. So he wasn't moving, and I tried putting him back, and I kept him in the net, and I waited and waited and hoped, but nope. But at least my red wrasse that you see in some of the videos there when she jumped, um, she went back in no problem. I revived her. There's a video up of that too. So I tell people all the time, you find a fish on the floor, I don't care if it's dry, put it in the net, give it about 20 minutes and see if all of a sudden it's breathing. If it's breathing, give it another 20 minutes. Yeah. Fish don't respirate every time their gills move. Everybody thinks it does, but that's not the way it works. Yeah, I think it's every 15 minutes. I got a couple of marine biologists buddies, so. Hey, and guess what? They work at call centers because there's no jobs here for them. Keep telling them, why are you here? Go out west. Go down the States, man. Get a job in your career. That's what you train for. Oh, somebody can hear me having a smoke again. Were you over? You must have been in Rico's chat, or you just saw mine come up? Oh, really? That's always cool. You kind of always love it when you know they did it on purpose. Cool. Well, at least it's kind of working today. Yeah. We'll get a few more. I've seen a few people ducking in and out, whether or not it's somebody I know or somebody new or somebody just maybe they don't like the way I sound. I have no idea. No, not at all. You want to hop in here? go. Remove that. How you doing tonight, Angelic?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. Actually, I was going to tell you the other night, you can call me Dave
Dave. All right, Dave. I'll call you Dave.
or Angelic, or, I've been called worse.
Yeah.
I've been called better.
Don't call me late for dinner.
I know that's right.
No, I got the coffee going. I figure I got a busy weekend ahead. I thought, well, I'll hop in for an hour or two. And
Yeah, we're going to be heading out of town Saturday morning for a week.
oh, yeah. There you go. Where you
Yeah.
off to?
We're going to go to the lake, have a little spring break. She does it every year.
Hey, Dennis. What's going on, buddy?
Have a little barbecue, hang out, a little family time, get away from everything.
Exactly. Do a little fishing, feel a little guilty.
Well, if the weather holds out, because it's been pretty chilly here lately. So if the weather holds out, we're going to go. If not, then we'll find other stuff that she wants to do.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so. No, I thought I'd put up an algae talk just in case people want to talk about it, because I put that video up today, and some people disagree with my methods, and that's fine. You can, there's more than one way to skin a cat, so.
I always try to go a natural method if I ever get it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the thing is that method I learned, I didn't really have an algae outbreak. I had a problem with my zoes with what looked like bryopsis, right? That real thick, almost Chaeto style algae, real thick stuff. And, my LFS guy showed me this trick. And I mean, the way he made me feel safe about it is he took 5 mils and went and just squirted it right in his tank. And he went, there's $42,000 worth of coral in there. I would never endanger my coral. And I know that to be true because I know the guy. So I tried his method and I'm like, well, that worked really well for me. So I tried it on a couple other things, and it was, who was I talking to today? They said they had an algae outbreak. I was in Rico's chat at the time. No, I wasn't. I was? I don't know. Fuck, I was in one of them. Whatever. And they got a brown hair algae outbreak, diatom / brown hair. And I said, well, what you can do is dose, if it's a small tank, 1 mil per 10 gallon. And if you're worried about it, half that. It'll turn white, and then it will eventually die off and go away, and you adjust your lights accordingly. I turn down to my blues. I have my whites on a lot right now, and I think that's leading to it staying. And the secondary problem being is that I don't have my pump, so I'm not running a full sump system right now. And
Right.
I just got all that kind of balanced out. Oh, geez, man. If I did a video on that, you'd laugh at me that I forgot this shit. Yeah, like I'm sitting there going, how can I forget that the auto top off's not hooked up and both tanks are evaporating, and I just totally zoned on it. So it actually led to a cool thing, I guess. My refractometer was off. I'm going to guess in the last week, one of my casts must have knocked it off. Somebody picked it up, put it back, and I didn't notice. So when I tested my RO, it was showing a good 2 points below zero.
Oh, wow.
So when I tested it against my good tank, my big tank, which I know is 25, it was like 29. And I went, well, that's not right. I know it isn't. So I tested the RO, and I set it to 25, and then went back and tested RO, and that came up 0. So I knew I had it balanced out. When I tested the 20s, they were at 28 for the salt. So,
Ooh.
Yep, time to remove and gratefully, I just had to drip the top tank. But the bottom tank, because it was over full, from taking the lion's share of the water from up top, I had to empty it out a bit, and I dripped them both overnight. So they're both back at 25 the way they should be, and everybody's happier. And then I went after the algae. So
yeah. Oh. Well, you got to start at one spot and then kind of work your way.
Yep.
Which you did it to me.
Go ahead.
My opinion, you did it the right way.
Well, I'll tell you, I appreciate that. And you know what? I tell everybody, anything you're going to do it slow if you can. I have guys tell me how they just dumped a gallon of RO in their tank. I'm like, really? How'd that work out for you, by the way? Well, everything. Go ahead.
I'm running the 120 also, and I keep mine about 2.6.
Yep.
I could put about 2 gallons of just straight RO in the water and only drop it maybe a point. 2 points.
That'd be about right. Yeah, 2.6.
Yeah.
I've had people, just, it's one of those things like algae freaks people out so bad. And it's like, it's, you ever been to the ocean, man? There's lots
Exactly.
of it, right? Algae's not an unnatural thing. We just don't want it because one, most of it's pretty unsightly. And two, it does have a habit of smothering coral. So you take care of it because that's the bigger thing. We're investing all this money in coral. If I had a fish only system, I probably would barely panic about algae. I don't even think I'd crack an eye at it. Be, better do something about that, I guess. Time to get another tang or something. I don't know.
Well, like I've explained to people in the past, and I don't like to try to misinform or step on anybody's toes or whatever, but excuse me. I always explain to them, don't freak out when you get algae. Don't freak out when you get cyano because everybody gets it at some
Yep.
point. Everybody. I don't care who they are. If they say they don't, they're lying to you. They're beneficial. They're building blocks of life. Algae, you have to have a little bit. You can't run a system without it.
No,
It's
it'll be
impossible.
there. Yeah, it's just how much is there. That's really what it's all about. And
Right.
use
If
it
you
as
see it,
go ahead.
I was just saying, if you see it or not, it's
Absolutely.
always
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Dennis? How do you feel about that? If I recall, you're fairly new to the hobby. I don't remember. I think you are. I've looked at your channel and watched your vids. I thought you had a new tank at the very least, anyway.
Yeah, that reminds me, I keep meaning to make some videos of my newer setup.
But you know what? I was telling Lisa today, and I wish I had heard back from Ray today, but I think he's just really mulling over what he wants to do or what he thinks he can write off. So new to that
Yeah.
display. That's right. So it's one of those things that I told her, just, videotape it. Don't worry about editing. You know what I mean? Just videotape it. And there's an Android app. I forget what it was called. It was Android Director or something like that. Yeah, algae is first sign of life. That's what diatom's for. The first time you see a diatom, things can live in your tank. So, and I explained in that video, if you listen, it happened because the wife did the rock work, and I did not take it and put it in water again directly thereafter. Yeah.
Right.
So it had a die off, and it probably had a much deeper die off than I thought it was going to have. So it's just an excess of nutrients in my rock, right, from the die off. It'll go away. It's all white. If you look at it in the video, it's mostly white. There's like little green at the roots, right? And it's like, I'll have that killed off. Give me 3 weeks. That'll be gone. Yeah. It's nothing to panic about, right? You know what I hear, though? I can hear the coffee maker tell me there's coffee. So I'll be right back. And I did blame it on the wife, Dennis, and she'll never watch the video and she'll never know. Yeah. 2 secs.
Sure. So what size of tank do you have, Dennis? I'm doing well, thank you, sir. How about yourself?
And I'm back.
Oh,
Right.
welcome back.
There we go. You're the one with the Innovative Marine. That's right.
Oh, those are nice tanks.
They are. Oh, here's a good one. You guys ready? Somebody's got a JBJ 35, which is the one that competes with that. And if I recall, I thought JBJs were tempered glass. I could believe.
Um, I, I don't, I don't think so. They may be.
So he's talking about drilling it, and I thought the back was plate, but the actual, that whole curved piece at the front and the bottom, I thought those were tempered, but don't quote me, right? But it was just like, I would talk to JBJ before you go hitting that with a drill while it's full. You know what I mean? Like that was just seems like a stupid idea mixed with a.
Well, there's a couple of ways to find out. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do that, with the sunglasses
Oh,
and
there's
all
all that,
that.
but I think the biggest problem he has is it's full.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have to drain some of the water down.
Yep.
And you could do it. We've actually done it on a tank that was running. We just drained the water down.
Yep.
It's kind of scary, feeling to do it because you're thinking, oh crap, if this thing cracks or breaks, then where's all this water going?
Yep. So an
But
innovative Marine can be, Dennis says. So there you go.
the
Oh,
easiest, I guess, one way he could do it would be to contact JBJ if it's a new tank and say, hey, this is the tank I have. Is it a tempered back?
yeah, exactly. Before you touch it, find out. Don't ask us. Call, get a hold of JBJ. Anyway, just foolishness, right? Like I said, all of us suffer our newbies that talk to us for sure, and and I say that it not as a rude thing. I expect it. It's when we were talking about this, I think a few days back or a week ago there, Angelic or Dave. It's going to take a while for me to dump the pseudonym.
Oh, that's okay.
When you tell them and then they just dismiss it, then why did you ask?
Oh, we had a long conversation about that. Some friends of myself that we would always get new people in the hobby that would ask us advice and questions, and we would be just, I would call it brutally honest, and it's not what they wanted to hear.
And I think I remember saying at that point, being a musician, how many times I've been told, like, I'll go see a friend's band and what did you think? And it's like, do you really want to know what I think, or do you just want me to tell you what you want to hear? Because if I tell you what I think, you're going to be really pissed off at me, right? You're going to be angry. I'm going to tell you you were great, chances are, because it was a good guitar player or drummer or whatever the case may be. But if the rest of the band isn't up to it, because I've had it done to me, I literally, the last time I put a band out, it was kind of out of nowhere was the name of the band. It was like version 2.0. And the first version of the band was great. We were booked. I literally played 225 gigs in 1 year. So that band was that was busy, right? So
no, I'm just sorry. I just saw Dennis comment, and I don't know. I don't want to get into this huge debate, but I would disagree with the statement.
what? Not anyone can get it. No, I agree, and I disagree. You know what? What's your thoughts on it, Dave? And then I'll give mine. And like this, let's get to quibbling.
Oh, okay. This would be interesting because I'm always open to this, and I never take anything personal, and I never make personal attacks or tell anybody they're wrong. I just like to throw that out there. Now, my standpoint on this, it depends on what kind of coral you're talking about. If you're talking SPS or a lot of your higher end LPSs, if you can't maintain your salt water, you're not going to grow that coral. You've got to have everything in check. You pretty much have to be on your game and really know what you're doing to be really, truly successful.
And then the other, my take on it is, and and Dennis, again, none of this is personal. This is the hard part, is that and this isn't even criticism. My thought on that statement is it's the other way. As long as you're willing to look after the water, the rest will look after itself. Now, that's not saying you can keep SPS like Dave's saying. I'm saying if you have the right lighting and you have all the other stuff that goes with that, you still have to look after that water. And the thing I see people fail time and time again around me is their water is crap. I had a guy today come buy a coral for me, and he's on a well that has a water softener and no RODI system.
Yeah, he just set himself up for failure.
He is going to have more silicates. I have pictures and proof of what's coming. And I'm like, nope, guess what? Give me the money for the coral. You have a good day, sir. I hate to say it, but I am not the fish police. I warned them. I told them up front just a little bit, like, hey, you really should have one because you really don't know what's in your water. I said, and that water softener is putting things in the water you don't know. That's all I said. And I left it at that. There was no being really adamant with them or nothing. You know what I mean? I can show you my tank otherwise. And my water's in pretty good shape. I have some kind of issue going on, and I found it today, by the way.
Well, now, Dennis, I would say that, most corals are very hardy.
Yep.
But I'm going to touch base with the SPS again, like your Acropora and all that. They don't like fluctuating water. They like stability. There's kind of fine lines there.
Yeah, it's kind of blurred here. There are some SPS that are pretty hardy. And same with LPS, all of them. The main thing we can almost always agree is if you have softies in your tank, they'll do okay in most things, right? Like my toadstool suffering. I don't know why he's suffering.
They do that.
Yeah, there's nothing in my water, but you know what? I'm going to leave him be. He's still kind of polyps. He just doesn't look the way he should. He's not as green as he should be. He's not this and that. And what I found today is that my UVs have burnt out on my lights. F word, F word, F word. Great. Now I got to replace those because they're not there. They're burnt right the hell out. So I'm like, great. You know what I mean? So, now I got to figure out why they burnt out. Because there's no water in there, but they definitely burnt out. So, okay, I'm going to have to take them down, strip those LEDs off, put fresh LEDs on, and do all that. SPS, I can't keep SPS in my tank. It dies every time. And I have no ammonia, no nitrites. Usually my calcium's running about 400. My alkalinity is around 7.7, and my magnesium's at 1120. 9 times out of 10, this is what I'll find.
They should be growing. I mean,
right.
As long as you got good flow, and you're not going, for example, like I've noticed tanks that run 80 degrees and hotter seem to, not that you can't do it, they seem to have more issues.
Yep.
Trying to maintain it, or too cold of water.
Yeah, so I think what it is I have a temperature problem and a flow problem. Now, my tank is, give or take, a year old now, the 120. I did start off with sand that was used. I cleaned it. I took my livestock and put it back in that was in that sand. That's why I left it in the buckets running with water. But I think it was too deep in the container it was in, and I wound up with some bad detritus in there, right?
Oh, yeah.
I got sponge. I got all that. I can, if you want me to dig into my tank for you, I can show you the health of my tank. I think I just have nutrients or a protozoan, something in my tank that really, really just messes with the SPS. I had a red planet go south on me after, when I call it the event that happened in my tank. It happened after about 6 months, and it started to eat up coral. I lost, give or take, probably about $1,000 worth of coral, give or take. I managed to save a majority of it. I just got on the water, stopped the no-pox, stopped slowly everything, right? I didn't just stop. I just weaned everything back and then tried to figure out what was going on. And I ran DI resin in the chamber of a filter in my sump and just ran that in my water for about, do I vacuum? I did vacuum my sand and still continue to vacuum my sand in chunks. I don't do the whole tank at once. I'll pick a section. I'll clean that section. And every week, right when I was doing the water changes, I rolled my water changes. I was doing 30 gallons every 2 days for 2 weeks while I was cleaning up the sand. When I figured out that might be something that was causing the problem, it didn't seem to make an effect. What did make an effect was peroxide. I ended up dosing peroxide for about a month, and that seemed to clean up the water. And I had to run an air stone in my sump the entire time to make sure I kept the oxygen levels the same, so I didn't have an ORP reduction, like a reduction in the oxygen levels. And it came back, but my tank is now slowly recovering from all this, and I haven't rushed anything. I still think that's why my toadstool's having trouble. He had to live through that. Other corals, I got out into a different tank, but he couldn't come out. So bare bottom makes a difference. I agree. I would not disagree. It makes a huge difference. If you can see the detritus, you can get it out. Otherwise, you do have to. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, I don't touch my sand bed, but I threw a diamond goby in there, and I figured, you're going to earn your keep.
I want to. I got a couple of fish that'll kill him. So.
Right. And I'm not saying that's for everybody, but yeah, he does his job, and he does, a little bit at a time. It keeps it turned over. So whatever, do your thing. He does like to play the game of making mounds everywhere. And sometimes when last time I put a frag in there, I set it down in the sand bed to let it acclimate. He decided he wanted to try to bury it.
Oh, yeah.
He's a little butthead. I'll just put it that way.
That's my pistol shrimp. Frag falls in the sand. He finds a place down under that he wants to keep it. So I'm sure I'll dig that up one day and find frag plugs. But Dennis, you know what I mean? For you, that might be the case, but I guarantee if you started looking through people's tanks, you'd see that that's not always the case. And it does come down to what you're doing. What you're doing is right for you and working. This is what and I am an ardent believer in this. You may do it completely different and it works for you, and I will not say it's wrong. That's where sometimes I find people's opinions to be a little too strong for their own bloody good. You got to kind of take it with, do what you're doing if it's working. When I'm asking you a question, it's not, I want to, I don't know. I don't even know how to say that. You know what I mean? If it's working for you, I love the look of your tank, so it's working. You know what I mean? If you look at my tank, you can tell, like, it's clean. My fish are healthy. But unfortunately, right at the moment, I'm really in a bad way with that 120 trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. What 5 fish do you have, Dennis?
I guarantee my fox face beats them all.
Oh, I'm telling mine. Good Lord, he's a poop factory.
Yeah, so most tangs are too.
Oh yeah, they are. Man, it's just nothing like sitting there admiring the tank, and here he comes right in front of me, pooping everywhere.
Yep.
Thank you for the visual.
Here's a log for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not at all surprised. No, I could clean my sand and show you. I absolutely agree with you 100%. Sand beds, if you want success, especially with Acropora, sticks in general, I have told everybody, if you don't have sand, you can control things so much better. Sand beds work.
Exactly.
Right? If you don't clean your sand bed, you hear these people like, oh, don't clean your sand bed. I just get riled up at that one.
Well, we did an experiment one time a few years ago just to put this test to theory. If you have a sand bed and you don't touch it for quite a while, you just kind of let things accumulate in it, and then you go and stir all the sand bed up at one time, you can't kill everything in the tank.
Oh, you could wipe it out. Yeah. There's also the fact that if it's deep enough, you can get hydrogen sulfide.
Oh, yeah.
Which will kill you. So I actually watched... there was a local fish shop in St. John called Maritime Reef at one time, and I watched the guy go to clean the sand bed, and I watched a blorp, that bubble of something, and he moved his face just in time when it came out the top, and he still got hit with it and was sick for 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so... And that's why I have sand, because I like what it looks like. Is it more work? Yep, so I got to clean it. So... Is there anybody else in chat? Feel free to jump in too. It isn't just me and Dave here in the hangout and Dennis in there. If you want to shoot the breeze or chime in, you feel free.
I think my next build that I might go a bare bottom. I'm still debating that because I do know that sand over a period of years will go bad and needs to be replaced.
Yeah. Yeah, RudderTube just did a video of removing a sand bed, and I'm watching them do it, and I'm going, Oh, that's risky, man. He took out a lot of sand right away. And I'm like,
Yeah, I've always devised the 1 or 2 cups depending on your water volume, a little bit at a time.
yeah. I always, believe it or not, it's funny. A friend said, well, how do you get rid of that sand? You can't dump it down your drain. I said, put it in your toilet. That's a 4-inch drain, man. Right?
I'm
And he's
pretty
like,
sure though
and
the
I said,
water.
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that when you go to do that, if you have a lot of sand in your bucket, that also goes to say, don't try to flush it all at once. Like put a little in, flush it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. That's the only thing. Sand just looks better. Is it pertinent? It's only pertinent to have if you have truck, not yeah, truck fungia plates and stuff like that. If you got stuff that needs to be in the sand bed, then you have to have it. But I was going to say my next build is a frag tank at some point, and when I do it, I'm just going to put a little sand at the front, just a little bit that I can kind of corral in that area, and that's where I'll put any plates, open brains. Why is that cat meowing, bugger? Oh, he's driving my stepson nuts. And I'm like, well, leave your door open, dummy. He won't meow. He'll just come in. But he just does that, I think, to tick him off. I swear. But no, the whole algae thing, it's there's so many ways to deal with it. Like, I mean, I could no pox that tank, but where it's not running into the sump right now, I would never do that. I'd reduce the ORP so quick it wouldn't be funny. Yeah. High flow is hard. Yeah, to keep sand, you got it. That's what I hear too.
I what
Go
I
ahead.
usually do is I'll mix the finer and the little coarser sand together.
Yep.
And but I don't run power. I don't run my power heads, down too low in the tank. I just run them below the water surface enough to where they don't create the vortex.
Yeah. I'm getting a gyre at some point. I'm going to put it on the back wall. So if you're looking at my picture there, it'll probably be sort of up and to the right of that mountain right in the middle. And I'm going to use that to suck it up from the back and get the flow going and get it down. Because I think I got a bit of a flow issue. I think there's lots of flow. I can see it. But if I ramp up the two that are left and right of that picture that are on the sides, nothing would be left still, and it would start blowing my sand around. So I'm like, it's a hard row to hoe there. You never know. I might do it. I don't know. It's not being lazy. I just make my changes slow. So
Yeah, I methodically think everything out of doing that. Then the part comes where I go to buy it. Then I have that moment where I'm like, do I really want to spend that money on that?
yep.
There's so much other stuff I really want to buy.
So that new pump that's coming for the 20, it's a 3000, and it's the new one, the DCP 3000. So it's the one that's got the sine wave. So it pumps, but it actually surges occasionally, I think is what it is. I won't know until I get the instructions. And
Oh,
I'm
okay.
thinking, well, that's going to be kind of cool that I'll be able to set that up to actually, do what it's doing. All right, Bubba. Cool. Look forward to it, man. Fired up.
Doesn't the Ecotech that like the M1 and L1, don't they have different modes in their pumps too?
I thought they did too. So I'm guessing this is Javo's now kick at that can. And if it is, I mean, I'll buy the big one. Well, not the big one. I mean, my tank can do. I have it set so it doesn't surge through the Durso on the Eco. It supposedly does 584 gallons an hour up to 700 and something, and that's
Oh,
just
nice.
because you're restricting it. You know what I mean? It's an AC pump, so you're just restricting the intake.
Right.
So my plan is I'm going to get a DCP. I think I'm going to get a 6000 because that'll do way more. And then I was looking at it and went, I probably only need a 3000 for that tank, maybe a 4000, and ramp it back. And then, get that functionality. And I'm going to make my Eheim Eco 2000 my water fresh saltwater pump. So I'll mix the salt water with it and then use that to pump it up into the main display. Because my display, like I said, it's like 5'11" right at the top of my display. It's a really high stand that he built, but it's great for viewing because when you stand there, it's he called it his beer stand on the fronts and sides that he built. I said, well, for me, that's coffee. I stopped drinking many years ago. Probably why I'm still alive.
Amen to that.
Yeah, everyone's like, why? And I said, well, since I don't drink beer, and all I drank was hard liquor. We all kind of know where that was going to be going at some point. When you're talking about a guy that used to go to the club and they had 50 vodka and orange juice lined up on the bar for him for when he showed up, heroic intake of alcohol. There you go, right?
Yeah, buddy.
Somebody said, why'd you drink like that? I said, honestly, I couldn't stand people. It wasn't I didn't like people. I just couldn't stand the crowds. And here I am, a musician, but I was used to being on stage and then getting off stage and being around all those people. It whatever anxiety problems I guess I had, it made it easier, right? So, it's the same thing with this hobby. I can get up and talk to anybody here on a microphone anytime I want. Meeting you in person, I'm much different. I'm not rude, but I'm a little more leery. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what your motivation is. Why are you talking to me? I think it'd be different maybe now because this is a different environment. But I really kind of hope at some point to kind of get around like to a Reefapalooza or whatever, and I'm going to kill that cat. So he's down. He's doing his little call out. I want attention. Open the door, and it's like, yeah, well, I don't think he's even home, buddy. But yeah, he's a bugger. He is. He's a forward cat. New people come around, right there, crawl right up on your lap. Who are you? Yet he won't let me pet him. Nope.
Isn't that amazing how that works?
Yep. But anybody else can come around. He's right there, and I'm just like, I looked at the wife and I went, huh? You wonder why I like my female cat so much better.
Yeah. Now, see, when I had my cat, it was just the opposite. I could do whatever with that cat. She would sleep on my chest or curl up in my armpit area.
Yep.
You could feed the cat, but you couldn't touch her.
Nope.
If you came to the door, she would hiss at you and growl at you. It's almost like she thought she was a dog.
Yeah, and my other male, Jinx, anybody can pick him up. He won't bat at you, nothing. He wants down, but he's real calm about it. Right? Like he's a great little cat. He's got personality. My favorite thing he does, you pick him up and he purrs and he's happy for a minute. And then he does this ears back mental look on his face. And it's time to run around the house like a maniac for 20 minutes. It's the coolest thing in the world to see. It's almost like, and then gone. Right? Like, he's hilarious. So, but yeah, I love how I was talking about this with the wife today. I said, no matter who's doing a broadcast, it's so hard to keep it on video on tanks, right? Because we all have lives outside of our tanks, I guess.
Yeah. That we do, or at least we try to.
We try to, yeah. Actually, I did a little, like I said, did a little work there today, and I was looking at my big tank. Yeah, it's that shouldn't have got up there.
Yeah, I know where that one's leading.
Hey, Bubba, you got a wrench there. You want to bat that?
He might still be gone.
Yeah, I think he might still be out. I'm trying to figure out why I can't go. That's where I got my discounted tanks. No, we haven't, Brian.
I go to my LFS and I get everything at 2% over their cost. And in all honesty, and I don't know how it is there, but like around my area, they don't really make much money on tanks. They doing good to break even.
That's general rule, I find, yeah.
I mean, and it's no secret, but they make their money on the livestock and the equipment, and all that.
Yeah, usually they don't even make money on fish for the most part. It's a lot of them. It's their coral that they're making all their bucks on. So, what kind of music did I play? Top 40 rock. Mostly, I was in cover bands. I did some recordings for people. Give me a sec here, guys. That cat's not going to shut up. Come on.
But Dennis, you seriously have my mind pondering now of what I'm going to do with my next build. Bare bottom or sand? Yeah, I run a sump. See, it's a 120 display, and it's the trigger system's 34-gallon sump.
I think the words is frickin' cats. Anyway, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
All right. So we'll have Bubba in here in a minute, or it looks like he might have popped back out. So, Brian, are you a retailer, or are you just in here to talk? I'll just tell you, because we just generally watch out for stuff like that. A lot of people will hijack chats and whatnot.
But I'm just kind of glad to see, I run Ecotech products. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But I'm glad to see somebody that's going to try to really compete with them. The closest I think that they've had before this new pump come out with Jabo was maybe the Reef Octopus various pumps,
which is made by Jabo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jabo's the one. What it is apparently is in China. Jabo was the big manufacturer, and they started with pond pumps, believe it or not. And
I believe it.
From there, I guess, because they had the facilities, they put out their own, and then Coral Box is now made by them, which means they also make the bubble blaster for Reef Octopus because Coral Box owns them. And then today I was looking it up, and they also make. There's another one I forget. But what was funny, I was in Reefing Community Worldwide today. I don't know if Dennis was there, but there's a guy who's got a royalty exclusive Red Dragon 3 50 watt, which is the one, the smallest one they make. And I priced it out today, and it's $1,250 Canadian for this pump. And it's a DC pump. And I'm thinking, wow, man, who would fork out that kind of money for that? But somebody would, they always do.
Well, look at the abs pumps. They're not cheap either.
They're not cheap either. Yeah. All right. I got to do something. There's something going on here, apparently. Just meows at the door. What it is, he wants somebody to do something with water for him. We moved our cooler because he was knocking the cooler over, and he knocked over 3 gallons of water one night. That's how strong he is. Yeah. He's a big cat. Oh, wow. He's 20 pounds. He's about 2.5 feet long. He's a big cat, big polydactyl cat. So he's got 7 toes on each paw. And yeah, Coral Box is a game changer. I agree, Brian, in a big way. Their skimmers are not too bad because if you think about it, guess who they got the ideas from? Reef Octopus, right?
Yeah.
And I got my S150 for my 20, which is their small in-sump hang on the back. And it's a little too big, I think, for like if you were going to put a 20-gallon tank together and put everything HOB. It's a little big, but you know what? If you don't care, what a great skimmer. I was skimming skim made out of that after 3 days. Dark as could be. And it was only $76. That's better than an Aquatic Life 115, which was the cheapest one for like $80 at one time. And they're kind of garbage, right? If you watch Fish of Hex, you can see one of those in action and the modification you have to do just to make it work correctly. Yeah. But yeah, that debate, Dennis, is going to be as old as time itself. Bare bottom versus sand. It's a preference thing. It really is. You could sit down and literally lay out all the benefits, and you're still going to have people put sand in their tank.
Well, now, Brian, I'm going to touch base on that one. That's kind of a open-ended, loaded question there. There's too many variables that would have to be asked in order to say what is the cheapest available skimmer.
Well, kind of. You're right, Dave. It would be. If you mean hang on the back, that's one department, and then if you mean in sump, that's
then
another.
You're talking water volume. You're talking, things like that.
I can say, okay, tell you what, I did price up for a 20-gallon display with a 20-gallon sump. I went through 6 skimmers that I was looking at, and it was the Bubble Magnus Curve A5 and D5 or C5. One's digital, the DC pump, and one's the AC pump. That was $238 for the AC and $278 Canadian for the DC. The Tuns Comline 9004, which was almost $200. And the biggest difference between those three at that point, well, the cup size would be the same on the 2 curves, and it was bigger than the one on the Comline. So price-wise, I mean, for $38 more, I was going to have a bigger cup. And even though the Comline's a hang on the back, it is heavy-duty enough to go into a sump. If you're going to go bigger, I'd say get 2. And again, there you go, $400. You can buy a much bigger one for that. There's the Aquatic Life 115, which is a very small hang on the back, which I dismissed almost outright. And then there was the 2 from Coral Box, which is the S150 and the D450. And the difference being is the S150 cost me $76.99, and a D150 was going to cost me, if I recall, around $238. So you can see where the debate came right back in line with, do I get a Curve D5 at $278 or an A5 at $238, or this D450? I think it's a D450 from Coral Box, which had a lot of adjustability stuff. It really did a huge amount. But I mean, it's Coral Box, right? So, yeah. Oh, I didn't even see what he was typing there. Was he just putting up advertising stuff again, Bubba? So an honest debate turned into this guy's trying to sell shit. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I have no idea.
He said, see ya. Oh, I guess I'm too knowledgeable for the guy. Was that it? Like, you're talking to a guy who just built a frickin' nano system. It's like, well, welcome to reef keeping.
Well, I understand people getting confused, but, and this is another one of my pet peeves, when somebody asks a question, but they don't want to give you all the details. Like, well, I just set up a new tank. What size of pump should I run? Well, how big's your tank?
I don't know. Yeah. Well, did you not or not just set one up? That was funny. The fact that I literally schooled the poor bugger that quick? Is that what was funny, Dennis? Yeah. Oh, it was Dennis that was giving me the reply. Sorry, Dennis. I thought it was Bubba. Although Bubba caught him, so that's all good.
He's on it.
I think he just got rid of him because he was getting rude. Maybe I just gave him too much info for his own good. Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I can talk at length about gear. I literally research my gear to ad nauseum. Drives my wife nuts, actually.
Yeah, I run a SCA skimmer on mine rated for 180.
Yep.
It does its thing.
Yep, exactly. I got a Reef Octopus Super 2000 in my big tank. You know what I mean? Like, it's great. Although I find the bubble blaster pump fails a little quick. I lost an impeller in 9 months. Could have been my
And
fault.
the bubble blasters used to be rock solid pumps too.
It's too bad, man. If you want knowledge, man, I have a shit ton of it on the gear side, which is not as important as you might think. It really isn't. But if you want to know gear, and flow rates and all that shit, I really dug into that, right? Like, I can sit down and talk at length. Like right now, I'm in the debate of what do I do with my 120 for a new pump, and it's like, I mean, I'd love a Vectra M1. I would probably kick your grandmother in the taco for a Vectra M1, right? Because what are they now? What's the minimum price in Canada? Hold on, guys. Let's have a good laugh here. Go to my old standby here, resupplies.ca. Taking all the 10 seconds to get a price on that. Water pump. Oh, he's got new gear in. Don't get distracted, Craig.
Oh my God, you like me.
Yeah, every time I get in there, it's like, oh, why do you got new gear on the main page? Go away. Stop that. Innovative Marine. Okay. Oh, he changed that right. Water pump. I need DC pumps. DC. And Ecotech Vectra.
That's a good one, Dennis. I like that.
So a Vectra M1 is $479. And that's going to be just about the cheapest in Canada I'm going to get one for.
Yeah, Ecotech, they're proud of their stuff.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I know they're great, but it's the cost. And it isn't that I want to cheap out, as I got to get the best I can afford. And that's what I tell people. There's nothing wrong with JCOD Jabo. There really isn't.
No.
Yeah, it's expensive, ain't it, Dennis? That's a choke level amount of money. And that's not even an expensive DC pump. Like I was telling you guys earlier, those Red Dragons, ooh, they're expensive.
But with all things in life, and we talk about this, there are many things that you get what you pay for.
Well, you ready for a kick in the nards over that one? In Canada, royalty exclusive. Who makes the Red Dragons? There's no warranty in Canada.
You're kidding me.
Nope. It's a big deal here. I was looking that up when this was being talked about, and I'm like, wow, for that kind of money, and I wouldn't get a warranty? No.
Now, see, if I would spend that kind of money if it was a guaranteed to last 10 or 20 years.
Yep.
I wouldn't have a problem spending that money because you'd actually be money ahead.
Yeah, I think they got a 3-year life, like unlimited. It doesn't matter how it failed. I know bubble blasters, if the impeller fails, I can tell you right now, it's not covered. So if the impeller gets a nick or it swells and seizes, as long as the pump is still working, not covered. Just went through that. A little mad about that.
Yeah, I've had my run-in with Coral View on several things in the past, and I'm not
impressed with the warranty.
Happy.
Which we can both say is Coral Box, aka which is all those guys. So you can see it's Chinese companies. What you need to know about their whole ideology is a 5% failure rate is acceptable.
Yeah.
Right. That to them it's acceptable. So it does kind of make a big difference, and it should. And you can't insure it because it's not UL listed. So if you have a fire and you try to claim on it, and they find out it was your external pump caught on fire and caused everything to burn or whatever, and they can see that, or identify that product, and they find out that's what caused it, you are not covered under insurance.
Right.
So I always tell people, if that's a concern, or you don't have a backup, or you have no way to stop that, that should be a consideration for you. But man, Hey Al, what's going on, buddy? You still got a wrench? Good. Keep an eye out. We already had we had a funny one come in. A guy asked me for knowledge. I dropped it and he left. I think he cursed me out because Bubba deleted all his stuff. You know, that's the musician in me, right, Dave?
I hear you.
Because somebody asked me about that once. How come you can recite numbers back and everything else? I said, because I can play you 300 different songs right now and their solos. I said, I just got a good memory for that stuff. The wrenches are moderators, Dennis. They're the guys that keep an eye on the chat for me. So when you get a guy like that, Brian, whatever, coming in trying to hawk his wares, I think, and then if they get rude or they say something with expletives or whatever the case may be. So. I was having a good laugh with Paul there, the guy who runs Reefing Community Worldwide. And I said, if I had a one, you would have been out the shipping, man.
Hey. Good.
Yeah. Is that what that was? I didn't go look at it. I saw that and I was getting ready to boot him myself, so to speak. But he asked me a question about a skimmer, so.
Yeah.
I hear wife aggro. Yeah. You want to get in chat tonight, Bubba, or are you just going to hang out or get into the hangout, I mean?
Where's the notepad paper? Is he going over to your guys' room? Just say anything about.
I haven't even talked to him. I couldn't get a hold of him today.
You can't say hello about himself.
Yeah, I'll call him here in a minute.
Okay, so where's your notepad paper besides yours?
Yeah, so Dennis, if you really want to know, that's a big concern. There was, I think it happened to Rico there the other night. Somebody actually got into his hangout and was putting porn up, so that was streaming across into YouTube. And yeah, it's a general concern because you can get yourself banned for 90 days out of YouTube.
Oh, you feel warm.
All right, guys, I'm going to have to step away for a few minutes here and take care of some stuff. I'll be back.
Nope, not a problem. Go right ahead. Life first, man. Life first.
All right. We'll see you guys here in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
All righty.
Oh, is Loki in here? I don't know who else is in here. Or is Loki Al? I'm guessing it's Al. Oh, there's nothing wrong. You know what? You go everywhere. I tell everybody I talk to, BRS TV kept me in this hobby when things got rough. That 52 weeks of reefing was just a godsend. And again, I didn't take that as the Bible. That wasn't the law, but it was just so helpful to kind of make decisions. I supplement my LEDs with T5 because of them, because I was more successful with T5. My LEDs work good, but there is some spectrums that aren't getting hit. But financially, right at the moment, I had to kind of stop and go, okay, I can do this. And, yeah. 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 If you aren't subscribed to BRS TV, Dennis, or yeah, go now. Leave my go. They are a wealth of information, and you can just take it and go, okay, I now know what that looks like. I know how it works. Is that going to work for me? It's kind of a good thing to have. It really is. It's a ton of information. And you can skip through all the power crap. Go to the end when they make their decision on it. Because even for me, some of that got a little far more technical than I think was required. But they are, if anything, thorough. How you doing today, Al? I've seen you hitting around. Not that I want blank space. That's the thing. I can't do background music because they'll shut the stream down or they'll do whatever to it. But exactly, because they are a little far too opinionated. Although it's funny, I say that because I was checking my black boxes today and my UV LEDs burnt out on, of the 6 I have in each, 4 on one and 3 on the other. Yep. And there's still a few books that are good to have. I like the ones, Malev's Reef there, Mark Levinson. He put a book up, and I'm ordering that book because it's a good reference on the fish itself. Yeah. It doesn't tell you what goes with what. It's just a great book for identifying fish. You want it funny? My saltwater journey, guys. I don't know if you've seen him, but he's in Sweden, and he was telling me the other night that a flame angel can be a coral beauty or a flame angel. They don't differentiate between the two. I'm thinking that's confusing. You say you want a flame angel come in and it's a coral beauty, I'd be a little ticked off. I'd agree with that to a certain point. Automation is great, but I think people are going to start relying on it too much, and we have seen it fail on people. So, but I think on the testing front, I think we're getting to a point where that's come full circle to where it needs to be. That ICP test is a wealth of information, but I don't like that they write back, this is what you should do, because there's going to be people that are going to do that and they're going to crash their tanks. And of course, blame ICP for it. Oh yeah, no, I want to get a Hero 5 because I heard the 6 isn't actually as good, but just for that reason. Yeah, that's okay. Might get a couple more people in here tonight besides me and Dave. There we go, and I'll retract that.
Yeah, okay.
There you go. Oh, we're going to get up the nose shots from Dave here. Yeah. Nope, not a problem, Al. Have a good dinner.
Y'all talk about food, make me hungry.
I eat supper here shortly. I got an early day tomorrow. Like I said, I got a bunch of moving crap I got to do that I promised I'd do.
Yeah, that's to me, moving is almost as much fun as painting.
Yeah.
I already told the wife if I ever have to move again, I'll just sell everything and buy new furniture when I get there.
Yep. Let those guys deliver it and put it in place too.
I know that's right.
Nope. How's life treating you, Bubba?
Yeah, I saw the post about BRS. I have mixed feelings about them as well.
Well, we were saying, kind of agreeing with the fact that it's a lot of good information, but you got to kind of don't take their word for it. Take the information and make your own decision about it.
Well, what I look at is if you watch them, yeah, it's full of good information, but and I hate to sound negative on this aspect, and maybe this is where I come to my own conclusions on this, but they're a business.
Oh, yes. They're
trying to sell stuff. So they're being informative. Don't get me wrong, but they're also trying to push products to make money too.
Yep. Like if you watch the the last one on, they were doing the lighting, and they finally did the black boxes, the Mars Aquas. They crapped on them without directly crapping on them. And it was kind of funny. I'm sitting there going, it's only because I know for a fact they deal a lot with Ecotech, right? And Ecotech's who owns AI, and they own Innovate. They own AI, which in turn AI is owned by Hydro, which would be
Right.
It's Ecotech, right? It's all Ecotech stuff. And
sister companies, yeah, same thing.
Exactly, right? So, I was like, well, why are you crapping on? Yes, I know one caught on fire. And again, we were just talking about this earlier. With Chinese stuff, you got to remember that for the Chinese people, their actual ideology is a 5% failure rate is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you stripped out your tank too much, did you, Bubba? Yeah, so you put it in a bag, and what happened next? You stripped your water too clean?
Orange tank syndrome.
Because they never told you to rinse it, right? If I recall, I seem to remember that one, and the thing they forgot to mention is to rinse it
thoroughly.
Yeah, I would rinse my GFO, and you should do it with RODI, but you can get away with tap water. But I would rinse it for 6 to 7 minutes in direct flow while rolling it around. I don't care it's grinding up, making more. I need to get it to a point where if I sit it in and it doesn't move, it doesn't do that. Yeah, it's wild. They don't really talk about that, and they should. And yeah, it's crap. And no, it doesn't really work. Well, it does. I can show you it does. But it's a certain way it's got to be done. You can't put it in a bag and just throw it in your sump. So, yeah, because I put it into a pump, in a media part of the pump, and I packed it in between floss, and then put a fine mesh on top of that, and it actually works really well. But it's more time consuming. I'd love to have a reactor. I just can't afford one. And I need to use so little that it's actually okay that I do that. But if you need to use a lot, I would recommend a reactor for sure. Yeah, actually, Dennis, you're absolutely right. If you can rinse it with RODI, that's the way to go. I don't think so with carbon, because carbon itself is a way to actually remove chlorine. So, yeah, BRS rep didn't know what to say. Yeah, I hear that. What do you say then? You guys put it on a video. I remember when they started. You watch their video quality now, you can tell they got a director that they actually hired someone to do their videos for them. It's like, all right, so when you do this, don't look so uncomfortable, Ryan, because there's a video with him and the other guy, and it's so hilarious. The startup of tank stuff long prior, and it's so hilarious to watch it. They look like, oh man, turn off the camera, please turn off the camera. It's hilarious to watch. It really is.
But there's two things with BRS I've noticed that they seem to do a lot of talk about and a lot of videos about, and that's Ecotech products and the Apex products.
Yeah, they do overly do it. Yeah. So I wonder who they're in bed with, right?
Well, it seemed like last month they was doing, par readings and all that with the Ecotech, the G4 lights, and then they turn around this month and release, settings and all that. It's like, okay, you guys are just trying to push this.
Yep. It's the same thing with Kessel. They pushed really hard for a while. And it's like, I don't doubt Kessels are great lights. I have personally seen them in person. I love the shimmer. I don't like the light. Right? Like, I'd love to see a dense matrix array of 6 of those. That would be impressive. You know what I mean? But even the A700, the paddle light they have is only 2. So it's the same thing as buying 2 lights, right? But you save $100. Well, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I run RODI, Dennis. I doubt you're going to meet anybody in the room right now that isn't probably running it. I found out, and you should have seen it. It was wild. A rotter tube talking about, I got this bag of stuff and I don't use it. And it's like, what do you mean you don't use DI resin? It's like, you're not getting it to take out just like. Oh, there we go. That went down the wrong way. And I got on, chat with him, and I said, the reason you use DI is to pick up on everything that the sediment, carbon, and then the reverse osmosis filter missed. And even if it says 0 TDS, that's not necessarily the case, right?
Exactly.
And it's like I said, I'm not trying to shame you. I'm just saying you should be running a 4-stage, not a 3-stage. Yeah.
Now, if you was running a planted tank, then I could see a 3-stage.
Yeah, freshwater? Absolutely. Yeah, there'd be no problem with that, really. In fact, you could get away with coming off yeah, you're absolutely right. That'd be perfect. Because you would have just enough of the elements left that it would do that kind of a tank really good. But in a coral environment, no. You shouldn't be doing that.
Just for kicks one night, I took a drink of DI water. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, it tastes like nothing.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's actually bad for you in large. Did you ever see Mr. Saltwater Tank's video when he was talking about drinking it? Oh my God, he had a guy, literally a scientist, say to him, that is the stupidest thing I have ever seen. Right? I read it, and he removed the comment after about 3 days. He finally removed the comment because people were like, well, holy wow, why would you say this? Blah, blah, blah. He was getting slammed for it. I know he's not stupid, but I think he just didn't realize that, yeah, you can make drinking water with it, but you have to take it from right after the RO phase. Right? Don't drink DI water because water is like a sponge. It soaks everything up.
Right.
So if you drink DI water, you essentially are sucking it out of your own body, and then you will put some back in, but your body will then filter that out, and you'll whiz it out. And it's really funny that even I knew that. It's like, no, you don't drink that.
No, I did like maybe a half of a shot glass just to see what it was like. Oh no, I'm done with that.
Absolutely flavorless. It tastes, I don't even know how you describe, nothing. And it's almost gross, right? It's just that nothing, right? I make my own water here. I got a video where I talk about my reverse osmosis and my filter setup. And you can see what I did and where I teed off and how I did it. And that came from Spectra Pure itself, actually. They got a video and they tell you how to break it off. If you want to make drinking water, you have to take it from here and all that stuff. So even they were smart enough to like, no, you don't drink this, right? Yeah. I don't even watch Mr. Saltwater Tank anymore. He doesn't make any videos that aren't almost directly sales related now.
Yeah. Well, Dennis, you don't have to run a 6-stage RO system for a chloramine filter. You can run a 5-stage. Just run your chloramine filter before your membranes, and then run a carbon block after. Yeah,
you can reverse it. You'll burn through it. That's all. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Dave. But you'll burn through it faster. Yeah. So he's running a 6-stage because he can do what BRS showed. Right, so when this one's getting depleted, you switch it over to here and then put the fresh one on here. I get where that is, yeah. And I mean, your mileage may vary. Whatever works for you on that front, as long as you're running it. Yeah, is your water that dirty? I'll make you cry.
See, the highest TDS we've ever had incoming, has been 236.
I got you beat. Got you way beat for cleanliness on my water. Yeah.
Which around the area I live in, that's pretty low.
Yeah. 27.
Yeah.
So my DI lasts a long time, but my water is very dirty, like physically dirty. So I burn through sediment filters like crazy because the city's 236 years old. So the pipes are dirty themselves. So it's, I don't have the TDS that's dangerous, but I do have a lot of sediment. I've actually been debating putting in a pre-sediment filter, so sediment to sediment, then going into my carbon block, then into my RO, and then into my DI. Your TDS is only 0.003 incoming? What, are you sucking it directly out of the lake? Oh, yeah. That's amazing. I don't think I've ever heard somebody say they had a reading that low. I've heard 2, but that's the lowest I've ever heard of. Yeah, you're going to see everybody say the same thing. That is flipping amazing if it's that low.
Yeah. And I don't even know how accurate, I don't put a whole big trust in TDS meters because there's always fluctuation with them.
Nope, make a video. That's the way to prove it every time. Here's video proof of it. You'll still have people say they don't believe you, by the way. I got to replace battery on my TDS meter too. Doesn't matter. I know what my water is, so. But yeah, it's definitely, like, there you go. It's this wild and woolly world of that. It's like I don't even debate that with people. It's like if you're running one, that's good enough. You know what I mean? It's that's right. What you need to do, right? It's when you hear that, like, that silly bugger tonight telling me, and I'm just, again, here's this guy is buying this coral, and he tells me he's running on a well, and he's got a water softener, so he doesn't need an RODI unit. I almost did a spit take at him. And it's just like, yeah, here's your coral. Give me the money. See ya. Right? I'm not out to fight with people. It's like, you know what? I got videos of what a tank looks like on that system. So I'll see you, and I'll take your corals, and I'll take your fish.
Yeah, see, the LFS that I usually go to, I've known him for years. She gets to the point with certain people that she won't even sell you a certain coral or fish until she could test your water.
Well, you know what? We were talking about that the other night, and my LFS guy said it, and I'm kind of the same way. He is not the fish police.
Right.
If she wants to do that, all the power to her. But I would look at her and go, "You're just not making money." If they want to kill it.
What goes on with that? There's more to that story. Is the same. It's an individual that does it. They'll come in and buy a whole bunch of fish on a new tank.
Yep.
Overload it, kill everything, try to blame her, and then want to buy more fish. And she's like, "All right, we're going to test your water before I send you home with anything."
That's a good idea. If she's had a problem with that, that would be a reason to cover you. That's a CYA maneuver, cover your ass.
Right. So I understand why she does that. I go in there to buy a fish. She's like, "Here it is. I trust your water. I know you're good."
Holy geez, we're down to Bubba or Dennis. What's going on here? Nobody wants to talk to me anymore. Just Dave and Bubba. I'm okay with that. Yeah, I definitely, with Dennis, I want to see that. I'll watch that video. That's amazing. If it's that
now,
low.
the only thing that I would question on that, not that I'm saying that, Dennis, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm not debating that. I believe you. But I do know that if the TDS meter probes are turned the wrong direction, sideways.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that would give you a false reading.
Right.
Yeah, before you make your video, Dennis, I just would ask, pull your plugs and then make sure that your 2 probes are left and right of the hole. So the water's passing between them, not against them. Right. So there should be a gap. They shouldn't be lined up just in case. Right. And believe it or not, I didn't know that. Thankfully, my instructions came with it and said to make sure it was positioned that way. But I know a lot of people have gotten BRS ones where they weren't lined up right and thought their TDS was much lower. Now, not as low as yours, but just make sure, just for your own benefit, so nobody can question it, so you can answer back, nope, it is like that. Yeah. Because I guarantee you make that video, there's going to be somebody going, they'll call BS on that. Where do you live? You're in Oregon, right? Are you in Oregon? Is that you? I think I remember you talking to you before and you said you were in Oregon. Maybe it wasn't you. Too many people. Okay, so where you see the wires from the TDS meter going into the T junction, right? Pull the line out of one side and look inside, and you'll see the two probes. And if it looks like just one probe, turn the TDS portion on that side where the wires are till you see the two probes, because the water has to kind of pass between to make the conductivity, right?
BRS actually did a video on that.
Yeah, and you know what? And they didn't do it well enough. Believe it or not, they still really didn't say well enough why that needed to be that way, and that they just kind of glossed right over it. And did you get yours from BRS by chance? I'm just asking. I'm curious. Because no, not you, Dennis. Because a buddy up here bought his through BRS, came broken. They sent him another one, and when they sent it up, and I looked at it, it wasn't lined up correctly. And that definitely would give you a false reading, really, really badly, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, 4-stage BRS. So you're going to see where the two probes are. Just pop one side so you can look inside of it. If you got to put a light on it, put a light on it. And just make sure the two probes, you can see them. So they're perpendicular, and they'll work like crazy. Hey, Lisa. And do it on your out one, too, because you definitely want to make sure what's coming out of your RODI unit is absolutely zero. Just an FYI. And make your video, man. In fact, if you got to do that with the probe, do that with the probes. There's a damn video. Yeah. Right? I'm scared as hell to take mine apart because it took so long to get it together correctly. Because I've got the wastewater one, and I had to hook up a block. Actually, I think I show in that video where I actually leaked from the 3rd floor down through 2 floors. I shouldn't be saying this alive. My landlord ever finds out it was me, I'll be dead. I dumped 52 gallons of water from the 3rd floor to the basement. I fell asleep. Somebody had a sleepy night and forgot they were making water in a big container. Yeah.
Oh, I've done that.
Yeah.
Woke up in the middle of the night in a panic. Was like, oh, crap.
Towels, and more towels.
We're carpeted in the man cave. So it was like, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that one from the wife for a while.
Yeah. Mine just came out. She goes, honey, honey, honey. And we ran out, and there's so much water. And then they come the next day. Did you have a leak? Yeah, the sink overflowed. Anyway, yeah, he didn't believe it, but he had to believe it, right? And it was really funny because they didn't look at my RODI unit in the kitchen. I got it mounted in the kitchen closet, and whatnot. I made up for it. I helped them out with some stuff in that. So you broke a 90-gallon on the 3rd floor. Oh, that would suck. That's everyone's fear right there, boy.
Yeah, we just had that. I remember having that discussion, or you guys talking about that the other night about seams leaking and blowing out on tanks and all that.
Well, if you see what Dennis is saying, she poured Mop and Glow. Your daughter, I'm guessing. Okay, so somebody poured Mop and Glow into your reef tank. I would imagine. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's your ex-wife. Was it? Please tell me that was just no, that was done on purpose out of spite, correct? Tell me where she lives. I'll go kick her in the taco. That is just, I'd be livid, if
There
you
was,
go ahead.
I was going to say, there was an individual that got caught that was going around the LFSs here, pouring acid in tanks, killing everything. Yeah, he got caught real quick, and I am not really sure what really happened to him, but
Yeah,
I don't understand.
that happened in Halifax at AFK Reef. Somebody went into Brenda's main system in the middle that has her queen. She has an emperor angel in it and a big Melanoris wrasse. And when I say big, he's a good 8 inches long and probably 3 inches tall. He's a big wrasse. And they dumped something in the tank and wiped out all the corals that she had in that tank and killed those 2 fish. And they got them on video, but they didn't know who it was, right? But the cops wanted to know because technically it's the equivalent of theft. That's stock. Yeah, tens of thousands of dollars wiped out by this dick dumping. They assume it was arsenic because it looked like a rat poison bottle, and it was a powder. So he just went pop, 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 pop when she wasn't looking, and then he left. Why would you do that? Well, you must have been mad at her over something. I'm guessing Brenda's the one who runs that store.
Well, I don't care how mad you are at somebody. You don't do something like that.
Yeah, you don't touch cats in front of me. That'd be a way to get your arse whooped in a big hurry.
But I was raised, if you have an issue with somebody, you deal with that person, not their belongings or anything like that.
Yeah, psychopaths. That's the way it is. So, nope. It's definitely one of those things. So, you want to hop in chat, Lisa, or is it too late for you? Or into the Hangout, I should say, not in chat. You're already in chat. Because the 30-second delay plays a little havoc. It's exactly how we learn in life. You're in bed. What are you doing in here? I wonder if Ray ever got back to me. Checked earlier, but
I completely agree, Dennis. We're all prone to make mistakes. We're all human. It's whether we learn from our mistakes and what we learn and move forward and try not to do the same mistake again.
Exactly. Well, if you don't make a mistake, you never learn anything in the first place.
Oh, no. My son, he's 10, and he's wanting to get into this hobby, and he's been helping me watching, things that I do when I do it. And he's slowly getting his hands in there. Watch him, let him do it.
It'd be the next coral fish 12G. George has been doing it since I think he was 12 years old. Yep. Is it almost midnight? All right. I'll cut it off in 10 minutes.
Man, these are the conversations I love, talking about the RO systems and, all that.
All right. I got wife aggro. She goes, no, you do not. Uh-huh. Yeah. You know what? You know what it was, Dennis, when you were doing that? Was it called the Berlin method then too? Because that's what we're all doing. I don't know if anybody knows that's what the method is called, but it's called the Berlin method.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's just refined is all it is.
Just refined, yep. Put in a shit ton of porous media, and that'll, soak up all the ammonia and blah, 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 blah. We all know the cycle, I think. Everybody should know it by here if you're in here.
Well, it's like the Trident method.
Yep.
I just call that the new version of the balling method. Is all it is.
Yep. More refined. Yep.
Oh, good night to you, Lisa. Sweet dreams.
Thank Lisa. And if I hear from Ray, I'll email you back and let you know. All right. She got a 60-gallon tank in the stand today. She didn't tell me if it was drilled, but even if it is, good. Whatever way.
Nice.
Yeah. Got a good deal on that. She's getting a skimmer from AR Reefing. And she's got some other stuff coming. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I run live rock.
Yeah. I think we all do. Yeah.
I don't. This is a whole. This is going to get into a debate. I just know it will. But the whole 1 pound per gallon rule, I do not follow, or the 2
Nope.
pound per gallon, I don't follow that.
I don't either. I'd scare you how little rock I have in my tank.
I have probably 80 pounds of rock in the tank. I'm just guesstimating.
Yeah. I got about 80 in my 120, but I have enough marine pure in my sump with other rock that it works out to about that. When you say you had a hard time with your dry rock, Dennis, what happened to you? Now, you saw it. I had an algae outbreak because of that. Because it was broken, cured, but it wasn't fully cured. So I think that's what happened, maybe. But I know it's because the rock dried out.
Yeah, see, when I set this one up, I ran dry rock in it because I didn't want any chance of pest or anything. And I just let the tank run for 3 or 4 months with nothing in it, let it kind of cycle itself that way.
Yep.
It's not the ideal way of doing it, but that's what I did.
Yeah, exactly. I did dry rock out of 4 tanks in 3 years. I did dry rock 3 times, and I'd do it again. It's just, it takes a little longer, and I use ATM Colony Marine. So I dose the tank with bacteria to jumpstart it, and I will put in a couple of fish, but I don't load the tank or anything, and I don't do corals for almost 3 months. And
yeah, I did the, I guess you could call it the old school trick, where I put the raw shrimp in there,
Yep.
Let it start breaking down a little bit, and then I added bacteria, a little bit of bacteria, and 1 piece of, I did put 1 piece of small little piece of live rock in there.
Yep.
And just let it go.
Yeah, I took in my 20. I did take a couple pieces of live that I did have in my other sump and put that in there, and it's working. Right, like I said, my algae outbreak has little or nothing to do with it. It's just new tank syndrome because I caused it. Well, my wife caused it. But anyway, I'm going to cut this off tonight, guys, here at midnight, because I told the wife I would come to bed at a decent hour. And I just wanted to run a short one, and I really appreciate the folks that did come in. I love it when you guys come in. So
appreciate you letting me come in.
Anytime. And Bubba, thanks for running the wrench. And I will probably do one tomorrow night. Probably start at around 10 o'clock tomorrow night as well. And we'll get a couple hours in and shoot the breeze for a bit.
Looking forward to it.
Night, Bubba. And, poor Al there, if he pops back, he'll notice we're gone. He'll just crap and go over wherever. Night, guys.
All right. Good night.